Yeah, hi, I'm Daniel Richards. I'm professor at York University, but I'm here to talk with Professor Chet Bennetts. He's done latest research in the Financial Planning Research Journal. It's being published. It's about AI and finance, hot topic. Thanks for talking with us today, Chet.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I'm Chet Bennetts. I'm assistant professor at the American College of Financial Services. So thanks for having me.
Great. Well, but why don't you start off? Why did you do this research?
The why, yeah, with a topic like AI, maybe self-explanatory a little, but because it is such a hot topic, and really, as a financial planning profession, we're really trying to figure out like, what does this mean? What does it look like? How are consumers planning on using it? How are they going to use it? How does that affect the professional financial advice field? So that was really the reason why we did it, was to get an idea of who is using it and how does that kind of segment them. So using kind of the classic bell curve of adoption of technology, we really looked at the data from that lens and used an analysis to where we were able to segment the people into categories based on their use, based on their willingness to use, and found a very similar bell curve of adoption.
Okay, so that sounds fascinating. So, what did you find?
Yeah, and it was really, really interesting. We found some things that we weren't necessarily expecting. It was very much an exploratory research project. We didn't necessarily go in with any really deep hypotheses set out because it is a new and burgeoning developing field. But some of the things that we found were that, contrary to maybe what the profession fears, is that AI is actually at this stage complementing rather than replacing human financial
Hmm.
advisors. In fact, the highest integrated consumer, we call them the AI integrated consumer, they had the highest rate of AI adoption. They also demonstrated the highest engagement with traditional financial planners, at 72% of them having a traditional financial planner. In contrast, the most technologically resistant segment of our population, they only had 15% engagement with financial professionals. So there's this comfortability of utilizing this technological tool that, again, controlling for income and all of those types of things, that we were able to see that there were actually these differences. And like probably what we experienced with things like WebMD decades ago, and the fear that that was going to replace doctor's advice and it was going to be wrong, really it created a more informed, for better or for worse, a more informed patient, so that the conversations with the practitioner were deeper. And it seems like that is what's happening with professional financial advice as well.
Okay, that's fascinating. So, I guess why does this matter for financial planners like working in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as financial planners, we have to understand the battlefield, if you will, right? Like, what are we up against? And in the past, we kind of know what our human competition is and what their value proposition is, and generalize like what the spreads on fees are and all of that. With the introduction of AI into financial planning conversations, and by conversations, I'm saying with a consumer and an AI, we need to understand that, and need to understand who's using it, to what extent are they using it, how much do they trust it with and without an advisor. And spoiler alert, like when you read the paper, you're going to find that the trust in the AI response is statistically significantly increased when there is a financial advisor from which they can bounce all the information. It actually is starting to replace the sources of non-formal financial advice of family and friends, and the internet as a whole. So this, why does it matter, is we as a profession and as financial advisors, we need to be at least in line with where the consumers are going, if not try to kind of look ahead to see where could this possibly go.
Okay, that's fascinating. And so, what about for me as a university professor teaching students? Why does this matter for educators and students?
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll look at that from two lenses, if you don't mind. As an educator, I think it's important because we need to teach students, traditional undergraduate students coming out of high school and into university or college. They need to know how to use this tool and use it responsibly. They need to know how to ask the questions. So I know that there's been different variations in personal finance classes all over the globe where integrating into the curriculum really, hey, for next week, we're going to be talking about investments. this weekend, go out and ask AI all of these questions and then bring them in. And now we're going to talk about what's right about those responses and what's wrong about those responses and why. So, from an educator lens, that becomes really important to not try to fight the tool, but realize that it's going to be adopted regardless of whether we like it or not. Let's teach the users of the tool how to use it responsibly and how to interrogate it with a lens that doesn't just take it by its first glance, right? The other part as an educator slash researcher is, really looking at this method and looking at like the foundation of how we've always looked at technology with the diffusion of innovations theory as kind of a lens for it. Just knowing that it still fits in there, right? Up until this point, it's kind of like, how does this vary from, is it the same people that stand in line 2 days in advance of the new release of the iPhone that are also using AI, or are they different people? And how do they act, whether they're the same or different? So I just think as researchers, as we continue to look at this, having kind of these foundational blocks of what do we know? Well, we didn't know anything, but like as we continue to build these blocks of what we know about consumer use and advisor use of AI when it comes to financial planning.
That's brilliant. So if I want to know more, how do I download the paper?
Yeah, absolutely. There should be a link within this message, and go ahead, download it. Feel free to read away and ask questions as you have them.